Okay, guys, it seems like most people have been done, right? So let's let me talk to you about this. Can somebody volunteer to read what they have for a design process? Yeah, go ahead.
With the number steps, the first thing, identify a problem or a need or desire to be filled.
Okay.
The second one, see if the problem has been identified and identified by someone else. Three, if so, review their approach and you can make changes or improve on it, try to adapt it. Otherwise, brainstorm your own ideas or approaches. Always kind of maybe referring back to some similar literature. Fifth thing, attempt different approaches. Just basically playing around with different ideas and applications. And then eventually one will supersede the others and apply it.
Okay. So that's how you do it?
More or less.
Okay. Well, in the 4 years that you've been here, now the 5th year, normally you're given the problem, right? Somebody define it. Okay, who else? I don't know any volunteers there. Yeah, go ahead.
I said step one is define the objective or problems given to us. Step two is identify existing elements like inventory analysis.
Okay.
From there, develop a concept for a design. Establish goals and objectives, which would lead to like program elements. And after that, relationship diagrams for those elements. Then multiple preliminary design sketches, and then adapting those and finalizing the design.
Okay, who else? Come on, let's see somebody from this,
Yeah, I was
from
gonna
this
say,
aisle.
somebody from this side.
Yeah.
Evaluate the problem.
What?
Number one, evaluate the problem.
Okay.
Then you do like inventory analysis, research, not just site related, but demographics, geography, all that. Then I usually get some kind of outside input, either here it's like student or teacher based. Out there it might be faculty or community involvement. Goals, objectives, some kind of schematic or proposal diagrams, and then eventually to your design.
Well, who else? Come on. You gotta be active in this place. You can't just sit down and look pretty.
None of them fall into that category.
Okay, come on. Anybody else?
I would first find a problem, do inventory analysis, do a history background check, get to know the community that I'll be working with, the client, current and potential other clients, the actual users that might be interacting with this I'll be working on, and then have an experience there. Find some way to be attached to it, and then come up with visuals, drawings, possible solutions to the problem, go through process of elimination, edit your ideas, and then work at it.
Okay. I think you mentioned something that maybe we didn't hear before, and that's users. You really, one of the things you always have to do is identify who's using it, who will be using it. If you look at a campus design, who are the users on a campus design?
Students.
Students, who else?
Families.
Faculty, who else?
Families.
Families, other staff? Okay, who else?
Random tourists.
Tourists, okay. Some random people get lost coming in the campus, don't even know where they are. Must be La La Land. What about people like physical plant? People who actually do the cleaning, people who maintain their campus. Okay, so the more you know and the more you list them, the better off your design will be, because if you care to all these people, you'll do better, right? So users is really one of the key things. I want to ask you then, where does creativity come in here? You know, landscape architecture is part of the 7 professions that are supposed to be creative, right? Like architecture, sculpture, music, theater. It's part of the 7 fine arts. Where's creativity comes in?
Goals,
What?
under your goals maybe?
Be able to
Goals?
adapt for all those users.
What's that?
Have to adapt for all of those users.
Okay. All right. But, what makes it creative?
Originality.
What?
Originality.
Okay, how are you gonna be original? If you look at all the projects you've done all these years here, would you say that anything that you did was original?
I think originality comes from your personal input on it, though. You can find inspiration off other things, but you can add your own twist to it.
Okay. Greg, you were saying something about it? I heard you say something.
Oh, just that it's hard. It's, you know, someone somewhere has probably done something at least similar.
Okay. Yeah, but if you look at some of the landscape architect that you studied maybe, who would you say was very creative?
Myelin.
Who?
Myelin.
Okay. Other landscape architects?
Roberto Burley Marx.
World Marks, okay. What about Lawrence Halpern? What did he do that was creative?
He took his wife's influences in dancing.
Well, that's maybe how he got there, but what was it that he did that was creative?
Specifically what project?
Yeah, if you have one in mind. What? You've been to the FDR Memorial in Washington DC? That's his project. You worked on it for what, 35 years or more? All the ideas earlier were turned down by the Congress. For years and years, they were trying to put that thing together, and they finally did. But anyway, you need to think about this. Another thing I had is where ideation comes from. You know, creativity is probably generating as many ideas as possible, right? Would you say? Where does that come from? You just sit there and it comes in, huh? Meditate. Oh, you got an aha experience. Where's it coming from? What is it?
To me, it's almost like pulling from and adapting your own life experience.
Okay, what if you don't have many life experiences? You end up with some pretty bad small circles, right?
Personal experiences.
Personal is not enough.
But I mean, everybody's experiences are different.
True.
Also depending on where you grow up.
Absolutely true. But how do you reach outside your own experiences? So actually there are techniques to do that kind of stuff. There are techniques to ideate. That doesn't guarantee you're going to come up with something totally wow, but it could happen. But you need to work on it, right? Thinking it takes work. And the reason why we wanted to ask you about your design process is every year the seniors are involved with that, you guys are involved. The SLA gives out 2 awards because of our size. I think it might be 1 this time, but normally it's 2 awards of honor and 2 awards of merit. And the way it's given is by some faculty and some people from the SLA chapter that live here get together, and then students who have over a 3.0 are eligible to present. And when they present, then the committee selects the people who are going to get that. And it's nice to have, obviously, on your resume that you were SLA awarded honor or merit. So one of the things they keep asking, especially people from the chapters, what is your design process? And a lot of times when those presentations take place, the people kind of sit there and, they don't even know how to answer that. If you've been in school for 5 years, you should have by now some sort of method of attacking problems, right? In a lot of other places and where you, who normally gives you the problem statement or the problem in a general way? I would call it the tentative program. Who gives you that? Client, yes. And what's your job? Solve it. But also your job is to enhance that statement because it is tentative program and you have to, you're not just a draftsman, you're a designer, right? So as a designer, you want to enhance that and get to understand it. Where do case study come in? Some of you made some reference to it when you talk about maybe, I took it when you talk about history or what was done before. Case studies have been part of the law school and for centuries, right? In landscape architecture, it has been used for until what? 20 years ago, maybe? Case studies? Yeah. Before that, nobody bothered with that. But they found out it's really important because there's no need for you to reinvent the wheel. And your project like you're doing, have been done, and now the question is how well they function, what are some of the problems, what are some of the things that work for them, and utilizing things that work and minimize the things that you have problems with could give you a better product, right? So these are the kind of things you need to look at. So first of all, I didn't hear, maybe you said it, but not in those words, but something like, what were the previous land uses of the site? Would that be important? Everybody goes like that, why?
Contaminated or just due to certain things that you can't do there legally.
Okay. Anybody else? I'll give you just one example. In West Virginia, I was working with some psychiatrists who decided to develop a village for kids that normally the court doesn't allow those kids to stay home. They have to live in another environment and then they're bus to school and so forth. And so they wanted to develop that kind of a village. So the county gave them, they bought some site from the county, and I did the site plan and the architect did the floor plans for the buildings, and then we did the soil boring. When we got into soil boring, that thing started bringing out of sight, out of the depth of the place, cardboard, bottles, and all kind of stuff. What we found out is that it used to be a landfill 50 years back. But there were trees growing on it, the site was, they put some soil on it, the site looked like a natural site. Nobody knew what the uses were before, but there's no way you could build a building on a landfill. Well, it's methane gas and everything else, the soil is not compacted, so you can't deal with that. So now these guys sued the county for selling them something that's not useful. If it comes to finish with the court, I might have another job there, but for now I need to stop. So knowing what the land used to be before is very, very important. So, okay, case studies are important, and synthesis of the facts. In other words, we have two types, right? We have the physical things that we want to look at, right? Like the soils, geology, topography, vegetation. These are all parts. And then the other part is the human part of it, and that is what are some of the regulations, right? What are some of the zoning? What can be and cannot be built on a site? And this is what you do as far as the site analysis goes, right? First, you take inventory of what's there, right? The inventory is different than analysis, and that's sometimes when you wrote on your project, you wrote site analysis, and you really just had inventory. Because if we have 3 acres of 0 to 5% slope, then X number of areas of 5 to 10, and 10 to 15, is that inventory or is that analysis? How many people think that slope analysis is inventory? Some people don't think. Okay, it is inventory, because that's there. Now, if you start to look at, okay, what is it good for, as far as the design I'm gonna put on it, then it becomes analysis. Because if you say, okay, roads we can put up to 10% slope, right? And that's will be good for housing, and the steeper slopes are gonna be used for trails and so forth, then you start to analyze. So there's a difference. And, you could call your sheets inventory and analysis and have both, but you can't get away with saying analysis and you show that this is mixed vegetation here, this is grassland, and this is, barren, and you call it analysis, because it becomes analysis when you say, okay, these trees are going to create for us a windbreak, they can create a background for this, this, and this, so now you start analyzing. So you have to make that distinction. And then we talk a little bit about ideation. How many of you want to be more creative? Let's see, everybody. That's good. We'll get into this, and really there are a lot of techniques for ideation. And one of the key things to be more creative, and we'll go through a lot of it, is to really redefine the problem. Because what happened is, the client wants you to do something, or the teacher wants you to do something. That problem is given. It's not necessarily the problem as understood.